Hello friends and welcome back to Brick's World. So, my name is Brick if you hadn't known already, and I am a professional time waster. I spend way too much time watching movies and anime and TV shows, and I realized something life-changing somewhere along the lines in the bowels of unemployment. What if I could waste my time more efficiently? You might be wondering, what brought me to this realization? But one day, I was having a conversation with some friends and they started talking about the shows they've been watching recently, and they brought up stuff like Monster and Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and I felt like a complete outcast. I couldn't believe it. How could I be so blind? I knew I shouldn't have put off those classics, and now I'll never be able to contribute to this conversation, and maybe they'll never want to hang out with a normie like me. And that's when I thought something has to change. With the time I spend on the internet, I keep seeing all these posters and social media posts about all types of content, movies, TV, anime, and everything in between. For every single piece of content out there, I could be missing out on a great time. Or, more importantly, a good conversation with some friends and maybe a little bit of social credit. But I can't stress just how often I add new movies to my watch list, never actually being able to watch anything and just adding more and more titles to my list without even checking any of them off. So, I've decided to create a guide. But more on that later. I know I was already reaching incredible levels of time wasting, but I had to change my mindset on whatever I'm doing and transition it from a lifestyle to a straight up grind. You can't just waste time however you want. Everything is competitive, just like watching anime. If you never want to feel out of place in a conversation among friends, or simply feel like the smug, cultured anime enjoyer with impeccable taste that you know you can be, well, I have a simple 4-step guide to get you from the loser who wastes his time having fun and stuff to the Chad with a time-wasting grind set to finally watch everything. This is Brick's patented 4-step guide to watching everything. Starting with step 1. Abandon all sense of responsibility. Now this is a warning for the faint of heart. If you want to commit to watching everything, there are gonna have to be some sacrifices. You're gonna have to shift your priorities to the correct order and abandon your responsibilities. Now, I know it's gonna be hard when you start. You're probably thinking, how am I gonna do the dishes, or go to the gym, or even pay my bills? Well, worry not. As I developed and created Brick's patented 4-step process, I've already put these situations into account. And there is one simple solution. 4 simple words. I'll do it later. Whenever someone asks you to clean out your room and wash the dishes, just tell them you'll do it later. When someone tells you your body is reaching alarming levels of unhealthy, just tell them you'll work out later. Most people who annoy you about all the unimportant stuff are probably going to get so frustrated that they're gonna leave you alone. Or they might simply be noticing just how committed you are to watching everything, and they'll respect the grind. It will take discipline in the beginning. It won't be easy dedicating your whole life to the grind. But either way, with these 4 words, you are now free to watch everything, all day, every single day. Which leads us to the question, how do I even figure out what to watch? Where do I begin? And this is where step 2 comes in. Step 2. Top 10 lists are your best friend. Stop having personal taste. Some sites like BuzzFeed and WatchMojo have practically lived off making lists, and we could probably have a whole discussion about how society these days is obsessed with ranking everything, but without going too deep into the rabbit hole, we can discuss how to make the best use of these lists to our advantage. Remember the days of unique personal taste? Oh, those were some good times. But the naive Brick of the past was too blind to see just how silly it was to watch things only if you like them. I think we've all watched a movie and went, whoa, that was great, only to find out that it had horrible reviews and everyone else hated it. Well, worry not, friends. With step 2 of how to watch everything, you're not gonna have to worry about forming your own opinions about stuff. we're only gonna base our opinions on the general consensus, just like Zuck, saving approximately 35 seconds a day by not having to pick which shirt to wear in the morning. We're going to save so much time by not having to worry about if we like something or not. If everyone likes it, it must be good. This is how you have to think. This also helps us form a good and proper watch list. If we were naive and made a watch list of our own, we'd be wasting time watching things we couldn't even have a conversation about. So watching things that consistently make top 10 lists is the best way to be efficient during this very long grind. Start from the top at number 1 and work your way down so you can make sure you cover as much ground as possible. And maybe, if you're really about the grind, you can check most popular lists too, so you can make sure you're always part of the conversation. Now, at this point, you might be asking, Brick, where in the world am I gonna get all the money to subscribe to all the streaming services to watch everything? And for that, we have step 2.1. Forget about being a law-abiding citizen. If you really are about this life, and I mean really about this life, and really want to be better than everyone else by watching as much content as possible, then just as you did in step 1, you must shift your priorities, and being a law-abiding citizen is no longer at the top of the list. So, just do a cheeky little Google search and go to a website that sounds like mlyritmlay.com, and you'll be set for life. Now that you're able to fill out your watch list and create a round-the-clock schedule of what you want to be watching every single day of your life, it's time to move on to the next step, which may require something most fans of movies and TV see as downright blasphemous. Step 3. Bend the fabric of time to your will. Well, it's not like you can just sit at home and watch movies every single day and somehow get through all the movies and shows on your list, right? It's impossible. Sometimes, I really do wish I had more time in the day just so I can get a few more episodes in, but it's impossible. There's no way. Or is it? Well, let me show you how. You know that little button right there at the bottom right of your screen? That little button is going to help us bend time to our will. No longer will you have to sit through the most boring and dragging of shows. No longer will you have to worry about not getting enough viewing hours in a day. You now have full control of time itself. You can start with 1.25x and slowly work up your way to 4x like the real pros, and this allows them to cover so much more ground than anyone else. Now, you might be worrying about not being able to understand what's going on at such speed, so let me give you another tip. If you're watching anime, forget about the Japanese dub altogether. Play the English dub and keep the subtitles on so you can make sure you don't miss a thing. Playing the English audio for anything you're watching makes it a cheat code because you can do other stuff while listening to the show. Like, I don't know, watching another show and still having some semblance of the plot. Really neat stuff. After skipping opening scenes and credits, you'll be blazing through all the content you could ever want to watch, and you'll never have to worry about finishing a new show in a week. You can finish a new show in a day. You can even finish 2 movies during a single toilet break if you're constipated enough. Time will no longer be an excuse not to watch anything, and now, as of this step, you're almost ready to become the Chad that watches everything. This last step may be something you never have to resort to if you've managed to follow all the previous steps to a T, but on the off chance that you're caught off guard, step 4 will save your life. Step 4. Lies and misdirection. Now that you're using all the steps to your advantage, you can probably get by and assert your dominance on every single conversation and feel like the Chad you have become. But you never know. We're all humans after all. There could be one guy who says, "But did you watch the 3-hour director's cut?" And for specific situations like this, you must set step 4 into action and lie. You've worked so hard. You deserve to have a perfect streak. We can't have some rando ruin the image you've been working so hard to keep spotless, so you're gonna have to learn how to lie. If you're really bad at lying, you're gonna start sweating, you're gonna lose eye contact, and you're gonna look really nervous. So when you lie, you're gonna have to do one of 2 things. Look them straight into the eyes and tell them, "Of course, I've seen it," without batting an eye, which would definitely cement your status as a Chad and intimidate them enough to stop asking. But if you find that your lying skills just aren't up to scratch, you're gonna have to create a massive diversion to make sure the subject gets changed and everyone forgets about anything that happened pre-diversion. Oops! diversions are also very useful for future situations, because if you find yourself in a group talking about something you haven't seen, you can always bring up the memory of any past diversions to serve as a brand new diversion. Now, there are a lot of ways to make sure you keep up the perfect image to anyone you come across, and although you should be very prepared with all the content you should have seen at this point, you can never be too sure. Being good and following all the rules, well, that's going to get you nowhere. Except the rules of this guide, but really, you're gonna have to be prepared to break a few rules if you want to watch it all, and you should never ever doubt the guide, or else. And there you have it! You have completed Brick's patented 4-step guide to watching everything, and are now able to watch just about anything you want. Your reputation of that of a media and pop culture savant will be unmatched, and you're gonna know everything there is to know about movies and TV. You're gonna understand all the references that writers love adding to random scripts, and you're gonna have a deep understanding of storytelling and direction. Not to mention, be one of the people to look up to when the conversation inevitably goes towards media. Unfortunately, when the conversation turns to touching grass and having fun with friends, well, I don't really have a guide for that, so you're on your own, pal. Bye! And thank you all again for watching videos on Brick's World. This was a video concept that took a while to come together because it's a bit different from what I usually make, being more for comedic effect more than anything, and being a step-by-step guide instead of the usual stories that I share on this channel. Maybe I'll make more stuff just like this aside from the usual storytelling videos I make, so if you guys really liked it, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to polish and clean it up next time. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel, friends. I really hope I see you next time. Bye!